Alrighty, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to Zero to a Funded. Today, we're going to be talking about back testing and putting together your own strategy. So, without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. Today, took one trade, one small L. Yesterday, ended the day break even. Right now, this week so far, it's just been pretty midweek from you can see. We've just been chopping around a lot. There's been a lot of news going on as well. We've had the Fed Chair Powell speaking this morning, and just a lot of news surrounding the market. So I am up on the week, not by a lot. I think just a couple $100, but at the end of the day, green is green. And I've been sticking to my plan and staying sharp. So that's pretty much the name of the game. But guys, in order to really get a good idea of how your strat works, you're going to need to do something called back testing, as well as live testing and live trading it on a demo account. But as far as backtesting goes, I think it is a very useful thing to do, and you can actually collect a lot of data from it. And if you are using a brand new strategy, it's going to give you a lot of confidence in it if it ends up working out to actually go in the live market and trade it. So what you can do is actually what you're going to need on TradingView is the essential plan. So if you click on here and then you go on to your account right here, hover over that, go on account and billing. You're going to need the plan that is called Essential. It's really cheap. It's like $12 a month or something like that. So not going to break the bank, but no pun intended. It is absolutely essential. That is going to give you this replay feature right here. Now, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and click on that. And what it's going to be able to do is pretty much literally replay to any point in time. You can choose any time frame that you'd like. Right now I'm on the 3-minute, but if I went to the 5-minute, for example, say, I could replay to any point in time. So once you figured out what your strategy wants to be, whether you want to, trade out of zones or just trade price action, maybe trade a little bit of my strategy like engulfing candles that we went over in the last episode, you can go ahead and do this and collect a lot of data from it. And this is going to show you if your strategy is going to be profitable long-term or not. General rule of thumb for backtesting is that you want to backtest at least usually 15 to 20 days worth of trading days of any given strategy. If you tweak the rules even just a little bit, you're going to want to retest that entire period of time again and collect all the data from it. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I collect the data from it and while I backtest. What I do is open up the notepad on my computer, just like this. You can just have that in the background. And what I'll do is I will just go back to maybe, usually the more recent, the better, but you can really go to any time that you'd like. You're going to want to find days that were not influenced by news heavily. So like right here, I can see that was obviously a news candle. So I'm not going to replay to there. What you're going to want to do, what I do personally, is go to like a Monday. So like this first week, we'll go to right here. So we want to go to 9:30 a.m. on this Monday, which is when market opens, which is when I start trading. Obviously, if you start trading at 10 o'clock, you could just replay to 10 o'clock. So I'm going to go, I trade from 9:30 to 11:30. So what I do every time is mark out the 2 lines, which is my window like this. Hop onto the 3-minute time frame, and I mark out my session. Now you can see we are replaying the day of May 5th, 2025, as you can see right down here. Now what's going to happen is you can also flip between time frames. Right now I'm on the 3-minute. If I went to the 5-minute, it would look like this. 1 minute looks like that. 2-minute looks like this. So you can hover between different time frames as well while you're replaying, but I'm going to stick on the 3-minute because that's what I trade on. Pretty much you're going to have a couple buttons down here. This play button is going to actually just quickly replay the chart like that. So you're not going to want to do that. But what you're actually going to want to do is click this button right here, and that's going to just replay each candle one at a time every time you click it. The second thing that I would recommend doing is pulling this up. This is a futures calculator. Now, this is actually going to be how you actually collect your data for your P&L up and down. So go in here. We're trading on MNQ. Pro tip to make this very easy, put your entry price at 100 and then put both of these at 100 for now. Now, you should know your sizing by now, and you should have your set of rules put together. If you're trading my strategy, we went over all the rules in the last video, but if you've created your own thing, you've created your own set of rules for sizing and everything, you should know what your max SL is, your max loss is on your 50K account, and you should know how many contracts you're planning on going in with per trade if a setup presents itself. So let's look for our first setup while we're back testing. Now you're just going to be clicking through looking for a setup. So I have kind of a bullish bias here. Let's see. Actually would have taken longs right there. Now I would have taken longs right here because we are in a bullish bias. We are moving up, as you can see right here. Also, this initial move up, we broke out above these highs. We came all the way down here, held off these lows, and then look how strongly buyers bought back up off of that low. If we go on to the 1 minute, it's a lot more clear to see. We had this move up. Sellers tried to step in. We held off all of these lows down here that we traded pre-market, and then buyers instantly ripped back up. I got my setup right here as we wicked above that high of the pullback candle. And then I'll take my entry at the close of that candle, my stop loss right there. I'm going to check the size of that stop loss. That's a 52-point stop loss. That means I would probably be in this trade with 3 micros, right? So pretty much what I'm going to do now is go like this. I'm going to go ahead and see what happens with the trade. So I'm just going to click through this. TP1 hits. And then we get stopped out at break even right there. So I would have trimmed probably 2 contracts at that first take profit. So this was a 52-point dub. Now come over to your calculator and think of this as your points. So if I was wanted to calculate how much money I would have made with 2 contracts on a 52-point dub, I would do 152, because going from 100 to 152 would be 52 points. And then don't worry about the stop loss. You'll need to do that if you get stopped out on the trade to collect your data. And then I said I was going to be selling 2 contracts right there. Now make sure if you're back testing for like however much you're trimming for, that your number of contracts here, see how I'm entering 2 instead of 3? So I actually would have been in this trade with 3 contracts, but I would have only sold 2 here and then stopped that last one out at break even. So I'm actually only going to put 2 here, not 3. Click calculate. That means I would have made $208 on that trade. So what I'm going to do is just go on my notepad. You can even write the day. So I'll say, what I usually do is this. I write week of May 5th. And then I just go like this, plus 208. All right, now let's see if we get another setup. Still having a bullish bias as we're trending up, as you can see here. And looks like we get a long setup right there. Yep, we're going to have a pullback candle right there. This candle wicks above, and we get a strong bullish close. We're going to take our entry right there. Stop loss at that low we just created. That is a 31-point SL, so I'd probably be in this trade with 4 micro contracts. Let's see what happens, and we get stopped out. Unfortunate. So now what we're going to do is we say, okay, this is about a 32-point stop loss. 100 minus 32 is 68. Yeah, 68. And I said I would be in that trade with probably 4 micros. So pretty much, guys, I have a 30-point stop loss. Just think about it again. Your entry was 100. If you wanted to calculate a 33-point stop or 32-point stop loss, you would do 100 minus 32. That would be 68 with 4 contracts. Now notice how I'm putting my full position here, because if I got stopped out, I would be getting stopped out of my full position, which would be 4 contracts. Boom, calculate. That means I would lose 256 on that trade. I would go back in here, and then I would write minus 256. And then I take up to 4 trades per day or 2 losses in a row. So I could still look for another trade on this day. Still having a bullish bias, especially after holding off these lows. Let's see what happens. If we can get one. Okay, now I'd probably switch to shorts right there. Ooh, actually, I would probably take a long setup right there. Now, this is an area where I would really take either side, just because it looks like we started to break out very strongly here. But as soon as I saw us hold off this low again, I would like to take longs right here. That's also a very bullish candle close. But looks like we didn't even get filled on it. Still definitely bullish now. And I would actually probably take a long right there. This would be my pullback candle since we closed red, wicked above, and then a strong bullish close right there. I would fill at the close of that candle. Stop loss at that low we just created. Let's see what happens. And take profit 1 hits and stopped out at break even. That is a 26-point dub or 26-point stop loss. So I'd probably be in this trade with 5 micros. That would be about a $260 risk. Could even go in with 6 if you're really feeling it. I'd personally do 5. 2, all right, so I'd probably trim 3 at my first TP. So that'd be 3 contracts at 125 or 126, it looks like. That means I would make $156 on this trade. And we can still look for one more trade, actually, as we're approaching 11:30, but we can still look for one more trade. Still having a bullish bias here. Looks like we actually do get a long setup right there. Actually, it looks like we didn't get filled on it. And looks like we are done trading right there. So that day, now I know I would have taken 3 trades. The first one was a $200 dub. The second one was a $250 L. And the third one was a $156 dub. Now what I'm going to do is come back on trading view. And I'm going to click this button right here and wait until I get to the next day. If you want to make this go a lot faster, you can go on like the 15-minute time frame. And if you click play, it will go ahead and play. And you want to play it all the way until the next day. So I know the next day is going to be that Tuesday the 6th at 9:30 a.m., which is right there. So I just want to play this until it gets to there. Boom. Go back onto the 3-minute. We'll go to the start of this day. So we just replayed that Monday, May 5th. Now we're going to replay Tuesday, May 6th. So we are literally, this is called back testing because you are literally replaying the chart backwards. Like you're going back in time and you're reading price and you're looking at price as it played out back in time. And then you can see how your strat would have panned out. Now, as far as your psychology goes, I've talked about this multiple times, is it's very easy to be quote unquote profitable while you're back testing because you can literally click through the candles really fast like this and look for an entry, right? But what you have to realize is I'm testing 2 hours worth of price movement, and literally that took me, well, if I'm actually doing that, I'm not recording this, I could do that day that whole thing that I just went over, I could do that in under 2 minutes. And I'm replaying, you know, you have to realize though, in real time, that actually took 2 hours. And each one of these candles, every time I click this in real time, in real life, when this was actually happening on May the 6th, each one of these candles was taking at least 3 minutes or taking 3 minutes to print. And while I was in all of those trades, I would actually be watching my P&L fluctuate up and down. So that's where you have to be really mentally sharp and be able to just, you know, sit on your hands while you're in a trade, or only take setups that you know are your setups and meet your rules, because that's where your psychology really comes into play. And, you know, it's a lot different when you're able to just click through the chart fast like this versus actually watching these candles print out in real time. But anyway, let's go ahead and replay this day. So I'm bullish right now. Looking for long. Sorry, I'm probably going to switch to shorts here. Looking for shorts. No, probably wouldn't take longs just yet, even though it doesn't look bad. Probably still, okay, probably would switch to a long bias here. That actually would have been a really nice long setup, but I still was bearish down there. Now definitely looking for longs. Didn't get filled on that. Still looking for longs. Still looking for long. I'd probably take a long setup right there. And yep. Probably would take a long setup right here. This would be a pullback candle, wick above, strong close. Even though we had a little bit of a top wick, I still do like that close as well, as we're trending up very strongly. Get filled right there. And that goes ahead and hits TP1 and stops at break even. So let's see how much you would have made on that. So it's a 27. So I probably would be in this with 5 micros. That would be 270 risk. So I would trim 3 at 127. So I'd go 3 at 127. That would be $162 dub. So I'd go right here, right, plus 162. And then let's see. Still looking for longs here. If we got below these lows, I'd probably switch to short bias. Actually, yeah, could have taken longs right here. Pullback candle right there. Very strong close above. Would set my limit order to get filled right there. Looks like we do go ahead and get filled. TP1 hits. And stopped at break even. Wow, stopped at break even after coming 1 point away from full TP. That's really unfortunate. This is a 15-point stop loss. I probably would be in this with about 7 contracts. And I probably would have trimmed about 4 at this first TP. So we'll do 4 at 114. That would be a $112 dub. And then it looks like we're approaching 11:30, so we're almost done for the day, but still going to look for one more long setup. Maybe we can get one. Maybe we get filled right there if we price. Yep, we actually would have got filled on that trade right there. Reason we took that, still having a long bias. Look at how well we're holding off of these lows that we're creating. If I go onto the 1 minute, you can see it a lot more clearly. We have these lows that we created right here, once again, with our zones. Look at how well we are holding off this area. Boom, 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 boom. I don't actually draw out these zones. I kind of just keep them mentally in my head. Anyway, let's go back onto the 3 minute. So that would be my pullback candle. Waiting for one of the next 2 candles to at least wick above and get a strong close. Boom. That wicks above. and closes above very strongly. Now I'm going to set my limit order for right here at the top of that candle. Stop loss at the low we just created, which would be right there. Ooh. Let's see if we get filled on the next candle. So it would be right there. Boom, we get filled. Take profit 1 hits. And stopped out break even. Damn, unfortunate. Take profit 1 hit, stopped out at break even. That is an 18-point SL or 19-point SL. I'd probably be in this with about 6 contracts. I'd probably trim 3 at the first TP, so we'll do 3 at 119. And that would be a $114 dub. And then it looks like by now that's past 11:30, so we'd be done on the day. But now I have data. Now, guys, that's pretty much it. That is exactly how you backtest. Now, you can see how I know exactly the setup that I'm looking for, the exact setup that I trade every single day. And that's exactly what I'm looking for while I'm backtesting. If you're backtesting and you find yourself kind of not really knowing exactly what you're looking for, that means that your model is not specific enough. And you need to kind of have a more specific model for your entry, because it really helps, especially as a beginner, to know exactly what you're looking for when you're looking at the chart. Now, pretty much just do that about 20 times. We're like 20 days worth of price movement, and you can collect data from that. So now pretty much what I'll do after I've collected all of it is I'll add it all up. I'll calculate my win rate, which is just going to be my number of trades that I won divided by the total number of trades that I took. So let's just take these 2 days, for example, and we'll say, okay, so I'll literally just go on my calculator and I'll say 208 minus 256 plus 156 plus 162 plus 112 plus 114 is $496. So I know that in these last 2 days, I would be up $496, which I actually believe I was exactly. I remember this week very vividly. Actually, this was one of my best weeks ever. And yeah, it'd be a 496. And then we have how many wins? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins over 6 trades. So I would do 5 divided by 6, and that's an 83% win rate. So I'd write that, 83% win rate. Now, obviously, I just did that for these last 2 days, but you would have a lot more days in here that you actually tested. And every week that you do is going to have 5 training days. So after I did 5, I would do my next column. I'd write like week of May, whatever it was. Also, sometimes, guys, you're going to want to check for news and see if news would have gotten in the way of your trading. So you could have Forex Factory pulled up on a separate tab if you'd like. I personally just look for very high impact news candles to stay away from while I'm backtesting. But pretty much that is it, guys. And that is how you are going to get data, collect data for a new strategy. And if I was to tweak anything, even if I was just to change the smallest thing, like maybe I was to just get all out at TP1, or maybe I was just going to change my entry model slightly, I would go back and I would replay all the days and I would collect all that data. It is kind of time consuming. Once you get good at it in Swift and you know how to use the calculator fast as well, you can do it a lot quicker, but it's still time consuming, guys. But it is, in my opinion, essential to collecting good data for your strategy. And also, if you're trading a new strategy, backtesting it and getting good data from it is going to give you confidence going into the live market. One thing I would recommend if you're on a brand new strategy that you've created is backtesting it like this, and then going on a demo account and live testing it and, you know, trading it actually in the live market as well, and collecting some data for that for maybe 1 or 2 weeks as well. Before actually, and then once you've proven to yourself that it's profitable and you're making money with it from backtesting and from live testing on a demo account, then I think you could take that next step and go for an eval. If I could restart trading all over again, that is the exact step-by-step process that I would take. Now, obviously, there is going to be a lot of roadblocks and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of, you know, hurdles that you're going to have to get over just because of what I explained earlier briefly about your psychology. But with that being said, guys, that's pretty much it. That is exactly how you backtest after putting your strategy with your rules together. Hope this helped. Good luck backtesting. Hope you get some good data and go into the market super confident as well. With that being said, guys, I will see you later. Make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you aren't already. But yeah, peace.